Hey, this is Noah, and today I'm going to solve another Sudoku. We have Stolen Numerals XV by NurglesGift. It's another XV puzzle, which you know I've been enjoying lately by the incredible NurglesGift. Let's take a look at the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply, so every row, column, and 3x3 box needs to contain the digits 1 to 9. Cells connected by an X must sum to 10. Cells connected by a V must sum to 5. The green dots are either X or V. We'll take a look at that in a second. All X's and V's are given. Cells connected by a black dot must be in a 1 to 2 ratio. Cells connected by a white dot must be consecutive. I know it sounds like a lot of rules. It's really just the first ones, and I think you'll see that there aren't even that many symbols on the board. So let's get started. Here's our puzzle. A few things you'll notice. First of all, no digits. If you've watched my other videos, you're ready for that, but this time there's not even any X's or V's on the board. So every green dot that you see can be either an X or a V, which means these digits must either add up to 5 or 10, and any two digits that don't have a green dot or an X or a V that are adjacent cannot add up to 5 or 10. There are these additional dots. These two digits are consecutive, and these are in a 1 to 2 ratio. We won't really use that rule until the very end of the puzzle. As usual, this is a great coloring puzzle, and it's supposed to be a little harder than some of the ones I've done before. So we will get started. For those unfamiliar with this type of puzzle, I usually like to have a kind of color system. There are 4 ways of making two digits sum to 10, 1 and 9, 2 and 8, 3 and 7, and 4 and 6, and I assign to each way a kind of color set, so either yellow, red, green, or blue. I don't know which color goes with which set, but it can be useful to have these colors to solve the puzzle. And then there's 2 ways to make two digits sum to 5, 1 and 4, and 2 and 3. I like to assign one of those the colors light yellow and light pink, and the other one, which I call that light yellow and light pink, I call the hot 5, and then light green and light blue are the cool 5. And I always use the light colors for digits between 1 and 4, and the dark colors for digits between 6 and 9, and then gray is 5. Gray has 5 has a special role in XV puzzles because it can't go on any X's or V's, which in this case means any cells with a green dot, and that is going to be helpful since we don't have a lot to work with. All right, with all that, let's get started. There's kind of an additional piece of logic with the green, with the green dots that isn't present in usual XV puzzles. You may notice that there are some instances where we have multiple dots on the same cell, and you may wonder, how can that be? So it means that one of these dots is a V and the other is an X. So for example, if this was, well, I guess like the logic is that the middle one has to, because one of these has to be a V, this middle cell has to be a low digit. So let's say it's red, light red. Don't know what it is. It's a number between 1 and 4. We know that on one side of our digit is its light partner, which is the number that would kind of go in the V, and on the other side is its color partner that would go in the X. And so these two would add up to 10, and these two would add up to 5. We don't know which one goes on the right and which one goes on the left, so this would also be perfectly valid. But knowing that this middle cell has to be a low digit is often very helpful. Another kind of piece of logic is we know every dot has to have at least one low digit on it. It could either have 2 low digits. So for example, it could be, a light red and light yellow because it adds up to 5, or it could be a low and a high. but we know it can never be two highs because that adds up to more than 10. Okay, so I think with that we can get started. There's some little zones of slightly more dense information than others. I'm looking at in here in particular. And what we can do is just kind of arbitrarily assign some of our low digits to colors. So I'm going to call this one light green. I know it has to be low because it's part of like a set of 3 green dots and it's in the middle. This one also has to be low because it's in a set of these 3 green dots. And it needs to be the kind of partner of the light green. So it's got to be light blue, which means this has to be dark blue and this has to be dark green. And we know this is a low digit and it's not the green or blue low digit, so we'll just say it's red. We don't know what, like kind of in our example earlier, we don't know whether the it's kind of V friend, the light yellow, is on the right or the left. But we've made a lot of progress in this box already, and we know that these two must be gray, which is 5, or dark yellow. So we don't know what any of these digits are, but this is kind of a good start in terms of having some information. One thing you'll notice is that in this kind of set of 4 dots, I talked about the pattern with 3, but with 4 dots, we know the middle 2 have to add up to 5. And we have this similar scenario here. So we know that these must be our hot 5, and these 2 are their high digit companions. Let's see. Looking across, we know that we need to have light red and light yellow somewhere here. Or another way to think about it is we need to have a light digit in one of these 2 cells, and it can't be light blue or light red or yellow, so it must be the light green. That does tell us that looking across in this row, where can light red and light yellow go? Can't be in any of these cells. And it can't be in this one because it would have to kind of somehow make it onto the cool side of the colors, but it can never do that. So we know that these 2 need to be our light ones, and this is the dark partner of whichever one this one is. Don't know yet. We know that one of these has to be the light green, and so its partner could either be a light blue or a dark green, but we have light blue already in the row, so we know this is dark green. Dark green can never go on the center of 3 green dots, so that has to be the light green, and this must be our dark green, which means this must be light blue. And we're making great progress. This is the only place for dark blue in that row. Light blue must go in one of these 2. It can't go in either of these because there's no dot. And because dark blue is already taken, it must go with light green. Dark green must go there, which means this is not light green because there's no dot between it and it's red. And our remaining cell is this gray, which tells us, which we maybe already could have known, that it can't be gray. Okay. This sees this, which is clearing some stuff up for us. So we're making a lot of progress. I do often randomly get stuck. So we'll see how far this progress goes, but so far I'm pretty optimistic. Let's see. Thinking about I don't know if there's information there. I changed my mind. I guess we can maybe think about what's in here. Don't have enough information yet, but we know we've got these 3, and that one's not dark blue, and that one's not dark yellow. This one could be either any of those. Okay. It's possible things will ramp up here. We have 2 cells which are part of the kind of three dots, and so these two must be light. Don't know which flavor they are, but it does mean that because each set of three dots has two light digits. For example, here we have our two light digits because one of the dots has to be a 5 in order for this to work. We have two 5s. It could be these two, could be these two. We don't know yet, but we do know that all of our light colors are kind of spoken for up here. So down here it can only be dark colors and gray. This one cannot be gray because it's on a green dot, and it can't be dark blue or dark green, so it must be one of these two, dark red and dark yellow, which means that we know that its its friend has to be the light yellow or light red. Not like a crazy amount of information, but it's telling us it's hot, which may be useful. Let's see. I was kind of thinking about this earlier. We know that we have at least one of these two must be light. At least one of these two must be light, and by light I mean a low digit, because every green dot has to have a low digit, and that means that all 4 of our low digits in this column are accounted for. And we actually know that this couldn't be 2 light digits. It has to be a light and a dark, a low and a high. And same with this one, which actually does tell us that the pair of dots, or the pair of cells adjacent to the dot that is the 5, that has the 2 low digits, has to be this one. It can't be this one, because then there wouldn't be enough light cells in this column. So unfortunately we don't know whether it's the hot or cool 5 just yet, but we do know that this is a high digit. I feel like a little nervous about marking that just because we truly don't know at all what high digit it is, but maybe there's some value in doing that. We know it's not dark green, because that would need light green, which we can't have. And I think that's what we got here. I'll just remind us all that that is a light digit, and so is this one. I don't like coloring this many options, but sometimes it can be helpful. We know these are dark or gray. I'll just let us know that it's gray. Or one of them is. Let's see. This is a pretty dense area, but I feel like we may have sucked it all dry. We can't have dark green in either of these because it would need to be with light green, but it can't. Which means one of these two is dark green. Unfortunately, just like not enough information, not super helpful. So I'm not inclined to color that, lest it create even more confusion. Let's see. As usual, having a moment of pause as I get stuck and figure out where I'm going. Maybe thinking about what these could be. All right, I actually think this is maybe a good time to demonstrate Is it? Yeah, I think it is. I'm gonna, well, I don't know if it's a good time. I'll just do it. This may not be productive. I'm going to demonstrate a kind of like XV solving technique that I sometimes use. So let's say you've gone down a road. You have decided that in this hot five, this one is going to be red and this one's going to be yellow. But that was kind of an arbitrary choice, and it makes it hard to kind of distill patterns elsewhere on the board when a cell can like have two options, either red or yellow, but it's potentially interacting with other cells. So I'm thinking about like this sees this, and it looks like we have like a ton of options. But actually, if we had instead declared that this was our red, we would know that red couldn't be in here, and that would kind of clean up the board. But we can't say for sure that this is red because we've kind of established the roles that red and yellow take based on their initial placing here. But what we can do is kind of re-ambiguate, the opposite of disambiguate, by saying that everywhere we see a red, we're going to say, actually, that could have been yellow. And the same is true for yellow. Everywhere we see a yellow, that could have been red, and we just replace it or add to it as an option its kind of corresponding alternate color. Now this is going to be kind of, unfortunately, a little messy up here. But now it's like we're in a state where we have not made any commitment about which member of a red-yellow pair is red or yellow. And we can instead kind of choose arbitrarily the one that we're going to set. So let's say I'll make it red since that's what I was saying earlier. So we have not, by doing this, we have not introduced, that ain't right. We have not introduced any contradiction. We have kind of thrown away some information here, but gained some information here, and that might be useful because now we can look up and say, well, this can't be red. It's not like we've actually learned a lot about what this can be, but it's kind of easier to manage and easier to see what this might be allowed to be. And also makes it easier to see what is going on here. We know that this has to be a high and a low, and it can't be either red or green, so it must be blue or yellow, just like we have up here. And although that's not like a ton of information, it does narrow down these two possibilities. They can only be dark green and gray. And I'll just remove that. So we're able to like learn a little bit about what these two cells are by making this arbitrary choice. And that can sometimes be helpful. I don't know if this was exactly the best example of this, but it's something I wanted to show because I think it's a kind of a cool technique. And it is counterintuitive because you are discarding information that you kind of rightfully earned. I guess you got to make sure you do it correctly though. I forgot to add dark red to these as possibilities because dark yellow was there. But if you do this correctly, and don't make that mistake, although you're throwing away information, in other places you can gain some in yet other places. Okay. Hopefully that made some sense. Here, if this is light blue, this must be the dark blue, which means this would have to be light green. If this is light yellow, this would be dark yellow, which means this is light red. You know, it's a lot cleaner than it was before. But does it help us a ton? Who can say at this very moment? Again, I'm, trying stuff out, so I might not, this may not be a useful piece of logic just yet. But I'm thinking about what's going to go on in here. I already mentioned that it has to be all darks or gray, because all four of our light colors are used in these green dots. We know that we have one hot high digit and one cool high digit among these, which means we must also have one hot high digit and one cool high digit down here. We already have our hot high digit, which means what still remains is the cool high digit or the 5. So we actually do know that this must be from one of those. Still not a ton of information, but I do think that this is like still a little, could be potentially helpful. Okay, I think this is going to be a cool piece of logic. Thinking about the kind of hotness and coolness of these two. So looking vertically, we have 3 hot digits coming from red or yellow, which means these can't both be hot. At least one of them must be a cool digit, or must be a cool kind of pair, either green green, blue blue, or light green, light blue. And we can ask, let's say one of them is, now let's say it's this one, but it doesn't matter, it could be this one, looking at this column, now we have 3 cool digits. Let's say this is our cool one. We have 3 cool digits, which means that these two cannot both be cool digits, because otherwise we'd have 5 cool digits in that column. I know it's kind of weird to have my hot and cool, but this does actually clear something up for us, which means that this cannot be cool and therefore must be hot. And that gives us some information. And now we know that this cannot be the hot and it must be the cool. I think that's some pretty cool logic. I don't know about you. And that takes blue out of here. Great. Okay. I'm pretty happy with that deduction. We know that this must be hot because it must contain a low digit, but both of our cool low digits are already being taken. A bit extreme again on the pencil marking, but I think there's some utility to this, potentially, hopefully. Thinking about where light blue and light green can go, they both must be in this column in these 3 squares, and they can't be adjacent to each other because there's no green dot separating any pair of these. So they must be on the edges, and this cannot be light green. Great, this could be light green or dark blue, we don't know. And what remains in this box is a hot digit that's not yellow, so it must be red. It tells us that this cannot be dark red because this would need to be light red, and this cell couldn't have any value. Not a huge deduction, but we'll take what we can get. Thinking about what's going on here. Not really enough information. I guess we can think about what can go in here. We know that it has to be a hot digit, which gives us our 4 hot digits in this column, and that could be useful. If this was dark red, this would have to be light red. If this was light red, this could be either dark red or light yellow. And now these remaining digits must be cool. I'm just going to get all of our cool digits in there. It can't be gray, it can't be, because it's already used. And then I'll do some cleaning up. Let's see, that can't be that. This cannot be light green or light blue or dark green. Love that, because that is telling us a lot. In fact, that gave us the whole dang column. All right. Wow. All right, and here we need gray, a hot digit, and dark blue. And I don't know if there's enough information to pick. We do need light green in one of these two. Not super helpful. We need dark green in one of these two. Ooh, actually, can dark green go here? It would need to have light green as its friend, but there's already light green in that box. So this cannot be dark green, and this must be the dark green. Amazing. We have our 3 cool digits in this box. These two must come from the same hot coolness group, so they must be hot. Don't know anything more than that just yet. But this strategy of identifying which are hot and which are cool has been quite helpful so far. Light blue in this box, gotta go there. And we still need gray. And the remaining hot digit. Well, I guess we can ask, can this be light green? Its friend would need to be either dark green or light blue, but as you can see, they're already taken, so that cannot be. And now one of these two is light green. We can maybe ask where dark green can go in this box. Can't go in any of these because of that one. Can't go in either of these because of that one. One of these must be dark green, so actually neither of these can be dark green. And this can't be dark green because then it would be next to a light green. But there's no dot, so that must be the dark green, which means this cannot be the light green. And that is. And we can, again, ask where light blue goes. These two see all of these. This one sees that, and this cannot be light blue because it's next to a light green. So that must be a light blue. And then dark blue can't go in any of these because they're all next to this light blue, but there's no green dot. So this is our dark blue. Wow. In this box, where can dark blue go? It's gotta go here. In this row, where can 5 go? It can't go. It can't be part of a green dot, so it must be here. Gray, which tells us that that one is gray as well. And this is our remaining hot digit in this box. It can't be a low hot digit because it would be next to another low hot digit, but there is no green dot between them. And this must be the 5 in that row. All of these are hot. We know that these can't both be low. They must contain at least one high digit because otherwise this couldn't be anything. So we've got one low digit here, another low digit here. This cannot be a low digit. We've got 2 high digits here. This cannot be a high digit. Down here, we've got 2 hot digits. I'll just mark those for now. Where can light green go in this box? Can't go here, 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 or here, so it must go right in the middle. And where can light blue go? Can't go here, 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 or here, so it must go up here. This can't be dark blue, which means this must be our dark blue. Honestly, this is going so much better than I expected. Of course, as I say that, I get stuck. Where can dark blue go? Here. Can't go here because it's seen by that one. Can't go here because it's next to a light blue. So it must go here. And in this box, it must go there. Where's dark green going in this box? Can't go in any of these, can't go there. So it must be here. Okay, we're so close to being done. Just because I feel like using this piece of information because I just remembered and noticed it, we have our white dot here, which means these two digits are consecutive. If this is a low digit, it has to be consecutive with another low digit or 5, but we actually know this can't be 5, so this must be a low digit. Is that really that useful? Yeah, because now we have two hot low digits in this row. This cannot be one of them. And this must be either a high hot or a 5. Cool. Very cool. I'm kind of, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm tempted to use our like re-ambiguation strategy again. We can see that we have a lot of like reds and yellows that are interacting with each other, but we don't know which one is which. For example, like it seems like these two could be any, but we actually know that these two have to be opposite colors, which might be useful information. And really the kind of yellow and red that we do know aren't really doing much work on this side of the grid. They're not really helping with anything. So I'm gonna re-ambiguate, where I make all of my reds and yellows be eligible to be their opposite. And I think those were the only commitments. I guess I maybe made some observations. Oh, this here. It can be kind of annoying when some can be like some options and not others. Let's see. I think that is a full re-ambiguation. I need a better word for that. And now we're going to commit to this being red, which means this is yellow. Like I said, and this can't be red, so it must be dark yellow. This cannot be dark yellow, it must be dark red. Neither of these two can be dark red. This cannot be light yellow or dark red, or dark yellow. Must be light red. So we know neither of these can be light red. This cannot be yellow. This cannot be dark yellow. These cannot be dark red. And this cannot be light red. Otherwise, one of these would need to be dark red, but it can't. Or in other words, it's next to a dark red. Neither of these two can be our light yellow, nor can this. Oh yeah, this like strategy can sometimes just like really clear things up in a cool way. This is the only color that can be. Neither of these can be those. Our yellows are cleared. And making so much progress. It's just so funny how we can like make a ton of progress by intentionally throwing away information that we had. And these can't be dark yellow. So this must be our dark yellow. This cannot be dark red. This cannot be light yellow. Wow, we're so close. Can't be light red. Neither of these can be light yellow or dark yellow, which means this cannot be dark red. This cannot be dark red or dark yellow, so it's our 5. And this can't be dark red. No dark yellow there. This must be next to its friend, and same with that one. Here, this looks like it has got to be our 5. And this cannot be our dark yellow. This cannot be light. Looking across, we need dark red and light red. This cannot be the light red, so it must be the dark red, which gives us some info up here. Where can dark green go in this box? Can't go in this cell because it's next to a light green with no dot. So it's got to be our 5. Wow, we are so close. Light yellow. Looking up here, we need dark yellow, and here we need dark red. Amazing. All right, we're done with the puzzle, or we're done with the coloring. Are we done with the puzzle? No, because we have no numbers in it yet. We know our gray is 5. How are we going to figure the rest of this out? This is where the dots come in. So remember, these two need to be in a 1-to-2 ratio, and these need to be adjacent digits. If these are in a 1-to-2 ratio, and this digit is between 6 and 9, it has to be either a 6 or 8, because 7 or 9 cannot be in a 1-to-2 ratio with any other digits less than 10. So we'll let those be our possibilities, and if it's in this 1-to-2 ratio, this must either be a 3 or a 4. If light red is 3 or 4, then light yellow must be 1 or 2. And if dark blue is 6 or 8, then light blue must be 2 or 4. And now looking at these two digits, which must be consecutive, the only way for that to work is if light yellow was 1 and light blue was 2, and that is just going to finish it all up for us. And these are 6, 3, 7, and 9. Yes! All right. Pretty fun puzzle. Great job, NurglesGift. Great job, Noah. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.